from a small Yupik fishing village on the Kuskokwim River. 5 terms as a state legislator from Bethel. 8 years as chair of the bipartisan Bush Caucus for rural legislators. Proud Coast Guard mom, leader of the Kuskokwim River Intertribal Fish Commission, working to protect Alaska salmon.
I'm the Democratic woman who can win.
That right there is Mary Peltola, and tomorrow she will be sworn in as Alaska's first Democratic House member in nearly 50 years, as well as the first Alaskan native to serve in Congress. She's also the perfect example of why Republicans, they should be nervous about November. After pulling off a stunning and historic upset, defeating Republicans Sarah Palin and Nick Begich in the state's special election. All three will be facing off again in November's midterms, this time for a full 2-year term. And joining me now is Congresswoman-elect Mary Peltola of Alaska. Now I can congratulate you on air, as I did get a chance to do off air. It's exciting. You get sworn in tomorrow. What time?
6:30 Eastern Standard Time, 10:30 p.m. Alaska time.
That it is exciting, and I can imagine that. I did ask you. I will ask you again. Have you picked out an outfit? I know this is completely shallow, but.
Well, it is important because that seems to be what people talk about most. But yes, I do have a dress that I have worn. I wore it to my son's boot camp graduation from the Coast Guard last September. It's nothing new, but it's comfortable. It's going to be a really long day. Yeah. So comfort is the key. I
have to say, we were talking about Giassi Ross was on. You were his Who Won the Week, after you won. And it is exciting, I think, for Indigenous people who are the first people of this nation have so little representation in presidential administrations. There's one person, and in Congress. So you're going to be the first Alaskan native to actually represent your state. How is that feeling for you?
Well, I'm very proud of my Yupik heritage, and it is noteworthy. And, I think, in response to your comment, I think there were hundreds of years of an effort to assimilate and erase Native people, but we're tough, we're survivors, and I am also half white. My dad is from Nebraska, he's German-American, and so I carry that heritage with me as well, proudly. Yeah. And so I really want to emphasize, especially to Alaskans, that I'm here to represent all Alaskans, no matter what your ethnic background is.
You sound a little bit like Barack Obama, right? Because you're coming from these two different worlds and you're sort of merging them. You physically merge them in your own family, in your own life, and you're able to do that politically. We were talking a little bit about just the physical stamina you have to campaign in Alaska. You're going from island to island, flying from place to place. How strenuous was that campaign?
It's a huge state. If you cut Alaska in half, Texas would be the 3rd largest state in the nation. We're enormous. We have more coastline than the lower 48. We're just really big, and my campaign manager even noticed. He followed our campaign for a couple days on the road, and he said, this is like a presidential campaign because you wake up in one town and at night you're 900 miles away and you're in a completely different place, and you can only get around by plane very often. So it's big, it's grueling.
And representing that state means that you have to continue to do that. You have to go, you want to represent and see all of these communities. We talked about the physical stamina that it's going to take to go through tomorrow. Let's talk about the mental and emotional stamina it's going to take to be in a body where 129 people voted to overturn the election. There are insurrectionists there that are practicing the big lie every day, still lying about the election, still saying the president of the United States is not president. You beat Sarah Palin, who is a very divisive figure, a very ultra-MAGA figure. But the fact that you defeated her, I think, signaled to some people that maybe there's an exhaustion with that. Do you think that there's an exhaustion with that? And what are you sort of bracing yourself for in dealing with this Congress?
Well, I do think there's an appetite for folks who want to bring people together and focus on the commonality. We all want good houses and good schools for our kids and jobs that pay a livable wage and a healthy economy, healthy environment, social security. We all want those things. I am very sensitive about the way in which MAGA people feel disenfranchised, forgotten, left behind. I think so many of different segments of our population feel that way, and now Caucasians are feeling that way, and men are feeling that way. So I think that really signals to us that across America, we have just got to do better at making sure that we're talking about how we're all in this together. A rising tide lifts all boats. We have a very diverse population, but we have a common future, and we're all in this together. And one of the things I like to say is no American is my enemy. If you're an American, I want to work with you. You're my teammate.
You're very generous to say that, because there are some groups who have suffered much more greatly, I think, to be fair. And I think half of your heritage comes from that. Obviously, people of color have suffered much more. But the complaints on the other side largely get down to the fact that they didn't win an election, to be honest. And I wonder what you make of building a political belief system around not accepting that sometimes you lose. You are now a politician. You are a politician. Sometimes you lose. And there is a core refusal to accept that this one group of people can lose. Isn't that dangerous?
Well, for speaking for myself, I stay away from victim-sounding messaging. I try to stay away from messages of fear and hate. I think that those are very lazy emotions. I think that if we're going to get to a place where we're solving our problems, we need to set those to the side and really focus on the energy and the type of words and thoughts and energy and momentum that it takes to get to problem solving. And we can't start solving our problems unless we are not calling names, unless we are not impugning motives. In order to sit down and really get somewhere and negotiate, you have to bring the temperature down, and people have to not feel threatened. And I think that everybody needs to make sure that they can save face. And, you talk about one group having suffered more than another group. And I think that it's important in America that we're not trying to one-up each other on our level of suffering. Every single being on this earth has a hard life. Why should I have an easy life? Everybody has a hard life. And yes, certain things have happened to different groups that other groups haven't had to face, but life is hard.
I think that your philosophy fits perfectly with when Michelle Obama says, when they go low, we go high. You obviously go high. Mary Peltola, Congresswoman-elect, and tomorrow, Congresswoman Mary Peltola. We'll be watching. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Really
Joy.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, congratulations.